regular meeting for June 12, 2001. We stand and give pledge of allegiance and remain standing for invocation, please.
I've done it good.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, please guide us and help us to make just decisions for tonight, and keep a special eye on our legislators in Sacramento. They really need the help. Amen.
Amen. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Paul.
We have roll call, please. Present.
Present. Present. Present.
Present. Any communications from the staff? No? Oh, there's a staff.
Just to give the council a heads up, soon you will be approached by, you may have heard that the tipping fees for the landfill have gone down. That's the good news. The bad news is that the city's compliance with ABA 939, which required cities to reduce their solid waste by 50% by the year 2000, has not hit its mark. With those two issues in mind, the city is proposing to purchase recyclable toters to provide a more convenient and hopefully more used recycling program. Council will be approached next month with a more definitive plan which will affect the rates but most minimally, but just to do a difference and more enhanced service. So the reduction of the landfill should cover most of the costs, plus we're trying for some grants to help purchase these toters. So just so that you're aware, this will be coming back soon.
At one point, though, weren't we able to use somebody else's?
That has never been finalized.
Oh, it's never been finalized?
No. The agreement that we agreed to over a year ago has not been agreed to by county council, has not been finalized by county council. So we're not sweating it, but we're still not in compliance.
Let's see about adding our downtown businesses to the recycling program too. I think that would help. There's an awful lot of stuff goes into the dumpsters in the back. That's right. I think we could do that. I think we could put a container in each block or something like that, or 2 to a block or something.
One other item quickly, Mayor. I don't know if the chief was going to mention it. We do have a parade permit that I think got approved today. That's for the Von Renner Olympic Parade that will be next Monday. As you know, that's the date we're scheduled to start construction also. So I checked with the contractor today, and he said that's not a problem. They will be mobilizing, getting equipment moved in mostly that day, and that they would not start tearing anything up until that should be over by 10 or 10:30 at the latest, and that they would not do anything before that as far as that would interrupt that. So the parade, they said that's not a problem to have that continue to go. But they will, I'll talk about this later, but they will be starting construction next Monday the 18th.
Any other communications from staff? Okay. Item number 6, items from the public, non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Council not on a posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the Council from taking action on any matter which is not on a posted agenda unless it's determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Any items non-agenda? Items from the public agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the Council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the Mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the Council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the Mayor grants a longer period of time. Item number 7, public hearings. Resolution number 2001, resolution declaring existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Everyone has a list here that Ernie gave us. There's 7 of them. On the one I'm familiar with, Ernie, is this one on 1133 T Street. They have done some work in the front yard, but not the back. The back is still the big problem.
That is correct, and we're following up on that.
Okay. Now, you have anything to say on this?
No, I just wanted to let everybody know that this is tonight's public hearing is for an opportunity for these property owners to come and protest the recommended action.
Does it necessitate us still including the 1133 T Street address as a public nuisance if in fact they are complying?
Yes, because the backyard is,
It hasn't been underway.
no.
Okay.
That's the one that has the high weeds. The front was just generally high grass, but it was so dry that it didn't grow very much.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution 01, I believe it should be, rather than 00, next to number, declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4 for the said properties here as listed 1 through 7.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
And Ernie, just before you get away, I was going to wait, since I knew you were going to address us with this particular agenda item. I do take the time to read your monthly reports, and there was something I wanted to have you address, if you could, just momentarily.
Sure.
There was the issue of the clearing miscellaneous work that you did, and I did take the time to go over and look where the skateboard park is going to be.
Yes.
I saw that there's a lot of dirt. Is that the area that you've been clearing off to get that, I think it's 40 by 80?
Yeah, it's an area about 45 by 85 that we cleared because we need 5 feet of the clearance away from the building and from the fence line along Hardin. We removed some of the playground, a swing set. That was part of the playground equipment. We removed some bushes and some oleanders out of there, and we had a backhoe in there and trying to level up, take down the high spots of the in that area.
That'll make it easier for a concrete contractor when they want to set up their forms and do their pouring. We're kind of doing a little bit of a prerequisite there.
Pretty much this way that they won't have to. We won't have to point out the additional work that they have to do when we go out to bid.
Okay.
There's a couple of other items. There's the old, what do you call those? Old style fire hydrant, what I call it,
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
it's-
still needs to be taken care of, and that'll be done in the next, probably the next week.
Next week.
And so we're just getting some of the things that we needed to take care of prior to the contractor being ready to go. I was going to bring this up later, but since you brought it up, I guess I can now. The bids to get the concrete done are out right now, and they will be on your agenda for approval at our next meeting, and they will start immediately after that. So.
Where's that swing set going?
Yeah, that's,
We presently took it over to the corporation yard. I don't have any specific place to put it. as
But
of
it
yet.
is sufficiently good shape to be installed in one of the parks, so, or not?
Possibly.
Possibly, yes.
What
possibly.
I was looking at with that is that if it is in a condition that can be reused, have to look at using it back with for the preschool when they move over to the new site on the library.
For another placement of it.
Yeah.
have we completely removed all the play equipment from that area for children?
No.
No, there's still some there.
No, we won't do that until we get the preschool moved. The main play structure is still there, and there is one swing set that is still there.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ernie. Just one other thing in your monthly statistics regarding the water. I asked you this question once before, and I know because of our population increase, we're using more water. It only makes sense. The gauges, in order to keep the water pressure, how is that monitored? Or I mean, I know that there's certain PSI that is kept at. Could you just go over that briefly?
Okay, excuse me. What the water tanks, the elevated storage tanks are used for is mainly so that not only can you keep a supply there for emergency use, but it also is used to stabilize the water pressure throughout the cities.
Okay.
But you can only have a certain amount of pressure because of the height. You get 2.31 pounds per foot of height and pressure. If you wanted additional pressure for the outlying areas,
Yes.
and you tried to fill the tank, it would overflow, so you wouldn't be able to increase the pressure. What we have done is we have installed an altitude valve, which isolates that tank, and during the normal operation of the water wells, we're able to ask the computer to kick up the pressure to whatever desired level we want.
Okay.
Okay? So that the water will not stagnate in that tank. Every afternoon when we go into our water conservation mode, the wells shut down, the valve opens, and it allows that water in that tank to drain out, so that when the pressure gets down to the tank gets down to a certain level, the computer tells the other wells, time to kick back on, the level is down enough, let's pump the tank full with fresh water, the altitude valve closes, and then the pressure stabilizes. And
So when sometimes those tanks are at those lows, or when you're going to get a less PSI on your water
Yes.
pressure in your home. I get asked those questions.
Right,
Therefore, I ask you in turn. I
right,
appreciate
exactly.
this.
So the water pressure goes down to about 43, 44 pounds at that time when that transfer is taking place, and then it kicks back up to the 55 pounds of desired pressure that we want. We could increase it even higher if so desired, but our problem is in the older section of town, we have some of these pipes that are old,
Okay.
and too much pressure would cause
It's a
some
balancing
problems.
act. Is what you're
Yes,
telling
it
me.
is.
Thank you very much, Ernie.
You're welcome.
Anything else under the public hearing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Item 8, consent calendar. Item 8A, approval of warrants. 8B, approval of minutes of the May 22nd, 2001 regular meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 9, regular business. Item 9A, award bid to ET Abatement for removal and disposal of asbestos roofing material in the West Side Theater for $8,230, and award bid to Cross Roofing Company Incorporated for theater re-roof for $35,810. Ernie, you have something you want to say about that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Quite some time ago when we were doing all the roofing work, the roof was tested and it was found to have asbestos up to 60% chrysotile. So we need to have the roofing material removed and disposed of. We went to bid and received 2 bids, one from ET Abatement for $8,230, and we had the other one from Riverbank Interiors for $13,500. We also went to bid for the rest of the roof, to replace the roof. We sent out about 10 bids and 10 requests for proposals, and we only received 1 bid back, and that was from Cross Roofing of Merced, and their bid was for $35,810. We feel that these are good bids. Therefore, our recommendation is to award the bid for the abatement of the asbestos to ET Abatement and the re-roof to Cross Roofing for a total amount of, I don't have that with me.
44.
Right.
I got a question on here on the bid for the re-roof. You have a base bid of $35,810, and the cost per square foot of additional walkway pad is $10 per square foot, and cost of performance bond is $1,000. Is this included in the $35,810?
I'm not sure.
I believe the performance bond is not, but we don't anticipate any additional walkway pad needed. There's some that is included in the bid. This was just if additional amount is needed above and beyond what it was called for in the bid. We don't anticipate that happening. It's a possibility, but so it could go a little bit higher. But yes, the $1,000, as I understand it, is not included in the $35,810, and so actually that would need to be included as part of the award.
Okay. So it would actually be another
One,
figure on top of
$1,000.
that, yeah, 45 on top of that, so. Okay, I'm just curious about that. Any other questions for Ernie? Can we have a motion to approve, or?
I so move that we award the bid to E.T. Abatement for removal and disposal of asbestos roofing material on the West Side Theater for $8,230, and award bid to Cross Roofing Company, Inc. for theater re-roof for $35,810. I guess in addition, $1,000 to be used for, is it completion bond? Performance. Performance bond. Yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0, and I'm sure the theater thanks you very much, too. That was quite a mess there for a while. Item 9B, discuss and review the business license surcharge ordinance. Looking at this, we have, for the use of the revenue on under 3-12-4, and I was looking at the state streets and highway code from the state, and under 36500, they pretty well cover what I feel that this should be used for anyway. So, anyone have any other ideas on this? What we have here for use of revenue is very vague, and it seems like every time something comes up for this use of this fund, why we can't make up our minds whether it's really for that or not. So this other one seems like it would cover it pretty well.
So, Mr. Mayor, you're looking to have some conformity with this street and highway code 36500 in our
Yeah, it
resolution
kind
and our
of
business
explains
code?
things a little better as to what it's used. It's decoration, promotion, furnishing music for public area for general promotion of business activities in the area. Mr. Navoa, you have something to say?
Oh, we were just listening to a discussion and we thought that was interesting.
Okay. Well, maybe we ought to have the input now. I don't see any discussion up here.
If there's anything to be said,
What do you feel about this, the way it's worded in the state?
Quite frankly, I apologize. I have not seen this before, so
Okay,
I
so
really-
it'll be the
Now, this
fourth
is the
page
state
back.
statute?
Yeah, it's the fourth page back
It's
on
under the Streets and Highways Code.
Streets and Highways Code.
And
365.
basically what this allows us to do is set up a business improvement district, and these are the things which, under the Streets and Highways Code, we can use the expenditures for,
According to the state.
according to the state.
But this is not
When
in-
we did our ordinance, which is the previous page, we limited it only to decoration of any public place in the area. And what we're saying is considering is, do we want to expand it similar to what is allowed within the Streets and Highways Code? To my understanding, that we cannot go above, use it for things other than what are in the Streets and Highways Code. It's limited to those things. But we can limit it to less than that in our ordinance, and that's what we did before.
And actually, there were several things over the years that it was used for that aren't in this. So if we could get back to something that's suitable for everyone, I think.
from my perspective, this is a no-no, that's a no-no, that's a no-no. No, so pretty much.
Paul Wallace, I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce, 2025 N Street. We have had a fair number of discussions and kind of welcome this, opening it up. When we discovered that it was available for just beautification, we were kind of surprised. We were concerned in years past that it has been used for facilitating the fall festival, and certainly that's a worthwhile thing to happen in the community, but we didn't think that that was quite what this tax money was destined for. The decoration of public place, acquisition of parking facilities, I think is very similar to the kind of idea that we had what our tax money against our businesses was going for, which is things that do promote the downtown, that are something solid. The promotion of public events and the furnishing of music in a public place. We are already taking, I don't think there is music associated with our lights downtown, but this is not what we had in mind, I don't think, for this fund of money. That would very much fall into facilitating the hogs and rods and the Christmas that we sponsor, the fall festival. And I don't think that's what the business community had in town. I think that Bob and I somewhat disagree with the general promotion of business in the area is something that we think should be discussed and explored. Kind of what the ramifications would or wouldn't be of that. There have been times that we've considered that this fund of money might well be used for getting together a group of businesses to work on some issue or another that would promote the businesses that are paying the tax. But I think we definitely do not have in mind that it's for promoting public events or providing music downtown. I don't think that's what we were looking for with
I think
this.
I'd agree with you on the item D, but on C, the promotion of public events, to me, that would be just advertising in papers, leaflets, things like that, which would be minimal, I mean, costs. I think you're talking maybe $100 here or there, but, no.
In another, yeah, we
Well,
were,
I've been ad, I mean, you know, to me, that's part of the downtown. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Paul.
I think you'll find that very quickly we could eat up major amounts of that. I know that one of the other things that I do with the Veterinary Medical Association, we were looking at doing some advertising to recruit doctors. A simple ad in a nationwide magazine was going to be over $2,000 for the smallest display ad. I think that and I've had bids somebody gave me a bid one time to draw business cards and get ready to make letterhead. It was like $3,000 or something. And
I was talking more like an ad in the index or something like that, you know, local promotions, not.
I don't think that and I think
nationwide.
I think that our concern is exactly what we're talking about here, that it's very quick and easy for those kind of things. I think if it was available for promotion of public events, that I think maybe that would give more credence to people that wanted to come in and devote some of this for, I know that oftentimes overtime for police officers comes up for events, or there's been issues where insurances have been paid for or something like this fund's been looked towards.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think we're concerned about getting closer to doing that kind of thing.
See, my question under that one, Paul, is let's say that the business owners got together downtown and wanted to do a street fair, street sale, something like that. If we take out that item, we would not be able to use that money to promote that event. Now, and I understand your concern, because I agree with that. You know, it shouldn't be able to promote just any event that comes to town. But I think that we need to explore all the options and understand that there may be something such as that. And I'm not saying that we want to do that, but it may come up, you know,
And I
where
know-
there may be events that we do want to promote, and the business owners would say, yeah, maybe we should use that money to promote this specific event.
I
But
think if we put in this issue down at the bottom, number E is a general promotion of business activities in the area, that's probably something that would allow a street fair. There's certainly been a lot of talk about should we do some sort of farmer's market, a street fair, midnight sales. In the past, they've not been real productive, although they're trying them in Patterson and Gustine. It'd be interesting to see if they can come up with a formula that works well in the area. But I think if we allow general promotion of business activities, it would allow that. It would also allow, I think, just in general, we need some more businesses in town. And some of the business promoting activities, some of the things that could go on, whether it be to there's a whole bevy of things that come along under economic development and business promotion that maybe this could be applied to that would benefit the businesses as opposed to...
I think we're getting off track here. I don't think that's what the fund is for. Is that, like, maybe I got you wrong. You said something about putting an ad in a national magazine for doctors. That's not what this money's for.
My point
To
about
bring in
that was
business,
the cost of
that's
advertising.
the Chamber's deal to do that, not this. This is to promote sales within the city, not to
I don't think
economic
that was,
development, no.
I I take issue with that. I don't think that was the
I disagree
reasoning
with you
behind that.
wholeheartedly.
I think the initial point of this was to create a fund for hard asset purchases, for beautification was a term that they used at the time, and what they intended was that we would go buy a something, that we would buy a tree and plant it, that we would,
But not ads in national magazines.
no, my point about that was the cost of advertising.
Okay, do you feel that if we took item A, B, and E and put those into a paragraph to replace item 3-12-4, use of revenue, that would be sufficient to cover what you feel is proper for it? Then we'll get into...
I do, and that would be similar to the discussions that we've had amongst the chamber board, but with respect to Bob, I don't think that he necessarily agrees with using it for business promotion, and we should hear him out since he was here for the origination of this.
Would you please repeat that for my benefit? I'm sorry.
If we take item A, B, and E on this state streets and highway code, the acquisition, construction, or maintenance of parking facilities to the benefit of the area, decoration of any public place in the area, the general promotion of business activities in the area.
Okay. With respect to, the positions taken by the chamber president, I personally, the promotion of businesses is the business of the businesses. And for this tax, as it originated, and again, I've always said that, if you don't like the way it was written, change it and do something else with it, and then you open up another avenue, which is the people that pay it may come and ask you to quit collecting it. The purpose of this originally was, and I would hope that if there's going to be a change made prior to you doing it, that the chamber be allowed to poll their membership and present your platform and suggestions that this is what you would like to do. Of these things, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Personally, I am going to go back to the very beginning of this, and that was that the city didn't have money at the time. We needed some things downtown, and we imposed this tax on ourselves. To suggest that using this money for business promotion is valid, certainly the state thinks so. But from my perspective as a business person, I don't think it's what we intended it for. I know it's not what we intended for, and I think it's a poor use of the money. I think if you're going to have a function downtown that benefits only the merchants downtown, because as we all know, everybody pays this tax.
Yes.
And the only way that the folks on the outside of the downtown get any benefit is by some lasting feature in the downtown. Beyond that, they receive nothing. So that if you're going to promote just the downtown with this funds, then those folks on the outside are getting shortchanged.
We aren't promoting, we're promoting
You're
the whole-
suggesting that businesses be
We're promoting
promoted.
the whole city, Bob. It tells the boundaries of the proposed areas to be all the territory within the boundaries.
I
of the
understand
city.
that, but
So-
but the benefit that goes with a downtown promotion is pretty limited for those folks on the outside that are still paying this tax. And I have discussed this with Paul on numerous occasions, and I think I would feel a lot more comfortable if we were going to have a downtown promotion and somebody came to me and said, Bob, here's what we're going to do, here's a plan, the plan is valid, it looks like a plan I could buy into, I'd buy into it. And I would pay an additional amount to that cause. But I don't think that this money should be earmarked for any kind of non-permanent or long-lived asset of some sort, some physical asset.
Well, let me ask you this question, Bob, with that proposal that you've given, and you talk about it in terms of a physical permanent asset, and when I look at that and we discuss it, I see most of those physical permanent aspects of something that is a structure coming into downtown. So even in your own argument, the premise of your argument was partly that those that do pay the tax, because all businesses are...
But if it is a permanent, if I might just jump ahead a little bit,
Yeah.
if it is a permanent fixture,
Yeah.
when you, even as a homeowner, a non-business person, come downtown and drop your trash in a garbage can, you got benefit. If you ride your bicycle downtown
And if
and
my
park it
business
up
is on
against,
the outskirts of downtown,
you come downtown, and if you drop something in the
well, I
garbage, you
think
get a
that
benefit.
plays into what,
Let me finish.
oh, I'm sorry,
If
go ahead.
we use these funds to augment or supplement some of the downtown beautification with a permanent type of a fixture, everybody benefits from that. But if you spend it in promotion for a specific area such as the downtown, then those folks on the outside, personally, I don't think they see any benefit. Because there's nothing left behind. Their businesses on the outside edge, they might see something happen, but if we do a Moonlight Madness sale and they're, on the edge of town and nobody's stopping down there because it's all downtown, I don't see a lot of that going on, benefit from that. So at any rate, I again would suggest that you present this to the chamber and allow the chamber to pool their membership and see what kind of a response they get. And I can appreciate that sometimes we don't see the kind of response we'd like to see, but I think it's an opportunity that should not be passed up, and at least hear from the people that impose the tax.
Yeah, Bob and I talked about this afternoon, and I agree that there's 85 merchants out there that pay this tax, and we ought to find out from them. That's what it says in here. And we ought to find out from them what they feel should be done with the money. It's their money. Judy, you had a...
Paul?
Well, in most cities, for what they talking about in promotions on downtown moonlight sales and stuff, they have a downtown merchants association that takes care of that kind of stuff, not the chamber.
Paul, if we were to table this, could you have the results of your poll with the merchants by the next meeting of the 26th?
I could certainly have it by the meeting after that.
Our intention tonight really was no action was
This
to
is
be
dialogue.
taken on
Yeah,
this.
it was
This
just
was just
discussion,
discussion,
yeah.
and our intention was definitely to take it back to the chamber and to discuss it with them and come up with, the what we thought might be a viable solution. I think in talking to Paul, they too had expressed interest that it perhaps this needed to be expanded to
I
look
think
at some
we're-
other issues.
There is not some project that I know of out there in the wings that somebody's looking at funding a business promotion. I think that it's something more of the longer term that we felt that this ought to be looked at. We were somewhat frustrated. We had come up with a program last year that we had some thoughts of putting this money to, and we realized that wasn't an appropriate use of the money when we read the ordinance. And so we thought it was worth
Well,
reopening it.
when you go to your members then, why don't you also throw in there whether or not that they want us to appoint a commission or an advisory board to come to us with your projects.
We could say, absolutely.
And see if we can use some of these for guidelines in here. And so if you'll go ahead and pull them and come back with us at the meeting, what is it?
Second week in May.
Second
Or
week
July.
in July. Whatever, you're closer to the calendar than I am, Tom.
10th?
10th of July.
July 10th, and we want a commission.
I think just get a consensus of what they think that should be used for, and go from there. Is that satisfactory to you, Mr. Raw? Okay. Takes care of that. Any other questions for Bob or Paul? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for hearing our issue.
Thanks, Paul.
Item 9C, consider request by Chamber of Commerce to use business license surcharge account to fund the purchase of seasonal flags. I don't know how that one got right after this.
This is an eligible cost for this fund, by the way. I had called Paul and gave him some questions, and then he got this report ahead of time. And like I say, this is an appropriate use. If the program works well, it is a good program, I think. But we had some questions. Margaret and I went through this, and we raised these questions, and so we thought before we approve this that maybe we wanted to get some of these questions answered and see if it is something that everybody's agreeing to go forward with. So I guess maybe I'll leave it to Paul if you want to see if you can answer these questions. I don't know that you've had a chance to discuss them. I realize this is short notice with your board.
I went to Sheila Borelli, and she gave me some answers on this too, so I'm sure she talked to you, Paul, so why don't you go ahead and...
Yeah, Sheila Borelli and Linda Broussard were the were the committee on this for the Chamber of Commerce. This goes back at least a couple of years ago. We had spoken to the members then, and that gets to one of the first, have the merchants been informed about this program and what was their thoughts? At least 2 years ago, this program was first brought up. What we're suggesting is that seasonal flags, there'd be 5 flags, Valentine's Day, fall, Easter, that sort of thing. They would be all the merchants would have the same 5 flags. They would go on a flagpole that would be attached to the building, and it would give some unity to the town. It would give, you've seen these kind of things at shopping centers and that sort of thing. The 85 merchants comes up, we include this to go all the way out to businesses like mine at the far south end of town, businesses outside of just the downtown. So this wouldn't just include the downtown, this would add some unity to the businesses throughout the city of Newman, not just the downtown businesses. The merchants would be responsible for the flags. They'd have possession of the 5 flags and be responsible for taking them up and down every day. At the time that the meetings were held, like I say, about 2 years ago, there was good agreement and interest from the merchants. Frankly, this has been a problem of the Chamber of Commerce that we've been struggling with, of being an effective body. This should have been done probably a year and a half ago. But this group's been at it for about 6 months, and we got it together, and so that's why we don't have some sort of a current poll, a recent meeting where we discussed this with the merchants. Frankly, it should have been done. We should have gotten the proposal before you guys a year and a half ago. The price tag is $11,028. It includes shipping and handling. It does not include tax, $811 in tax. Storage, distribution, installation of flags. Storage would be the responsibility of the individual merchant to try and centralize this kind of project. I think would be pretty unwieldy, so each merchant would have 5 flags to go out on various holidays. And then they would be displayed every day throughout the year. Your Easter flag would be up until the summer flag went up, which would be up until the fall flag went up. All the flags the same all the way through town. Again, a unifying sort of thing. We would distribute them. Sheila's the committee person. She would be in charge of actually physically distributing each of the 5 flags and the pole to, whatnot to each business. Doug Matoza, in his capacity as a chamber director, and we'll make that clear, separate this, he is a city employee, but this would not be as a city employee. This would be in his after-hours time. He has offered to install the flags personally. I'm sure he'd get some help from myself and some of the other chamber directors. We have not made a provision for repair and replacement, was your final question. I'm not an expert on flags, which is why Sheila and Linda were the committee instead of myself. They're very much flag people and have a bunch of them. What I understand is there's really not flags that you can go to. And, when you buy a China pattern, if you buy a good one, you can buy it for 100 years. And flags apparently are not that way. They run in a season. And so it's a matter of you buy the batch that we get right now. We are sure that of this 85, there's going to be a few that just plain refuse, don't want to play. There's going to be a program of getting this stuff going. There's a core of merchants that are dedicated to their business and dedicated to doing business well, and those guys are going to put the flags up, and it's going to be pretty embarrassing to be the one business in town that doesn't have your flag up. And so we're counting on that a little bit. But some of these people aren't going to have them. I think that that'll leave a few to replace lost or broken flags as time goes by.
And you're going to try and impress on each merchant that if they change hands, go out of business or whatever, that they will try and get the flags back to the chamber.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions for Paul?
Paul, you just were discussing that this was like a year and a half in a process where in just 6 months you've come to the fruition with bringing something to the council. And since it's been 2 years since you did the general poll, are you anticipating a full participatory response from from a lot of the merchants. I mean, you just alluded to the fact that, yeah, there are going to be some people that aren't going to comply or may not want the flags. What is the general feeling with the purchase of this many flags, that they'll be distributed in a uniform basis with the majority of them?
I'm assuming the same thing that I do, just as a general business assumption, that 90% of the people will go right along and 10% of the people will be 90% of your headaches and won't want to participate. So that probably leaves about a dozen that are just not going to be interested or willing, and it's going to leave the vast majority of them that will welcome this free opportunity to kind of help out their business.
And could you just educate me with the number of merchants that actually belong to the chamber?
About 60.
About 60?
I think it's about 60.
It's a high number.
Yeah. It's
So they will be
definitely-
distributed to non-chamber members also?
Absolutely. This is not a Chamber of Commerce only. This is distributed to all businesses.
That just
be they
gives me a
chamber-
feel of, a volition of 60
Yeah.
merchants that you know are going to be participatory, and then that leaves the
Understand that not all chamber members are merchants.
Mhm.
You
I
know,
understand.
I've got directors that are
Yeah.
electricians. I have an associate member who's not a business person at all. But absolutely, a good portion of those, we probably have half of these people as chamber members.
I'm a chamber member.
Oh, you're going to hang out a flag?
Absolutely. We welcome Tom as an associate member of the chamber. Any other questions I could help you guys out with?
Okay.
I just have a quick question
go
of
ahead.
police. Yes. In the streetscape, right now, all along the streets, there's holes there to put the American flag out.
Correct.
Are they going to be same for in the streetscape?
Yes.
Okay, he mentioned about having the flags on the side of a building.
Correct.
These would be in
But if
addition.
they're behind the trees, who's going to see them?
You can see them coming up the street, and I don't think they'd last
Think
very
so?
long if they were out on the street. They're up where people can't very well get to them now, so it may not be as prominent, but I think people
Okay.
can see
I
them
just-
pretty well.
It also tends to be a closer association. When you can place one of the issues that we discussed, one of the recommendations that we got back from one of the shopping centers where they do these, you put them in front of a business. If it's halfway between your business and the neighbor's business, it's always the other guy's responsibility. So these go up in front of a business. And I don't necessarily know that the American flag holes are aligned that way. And so this would be something in addition to those. And because these don't go in the sidewalk, this is something that we can get started on and get up before the streetscape program is completed.
Okay, anything else? Okay, can we have a motion to approve this, or?
Appears to be a non-action. Is this an action item?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says consider here, but it is put on as an action item if you would like to take action on it.
No, I move that we request by Chamber of Commerce to use business license surcharge account to fund the purchase of signal flags as stated in their proposal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
And before anybody comes up with, well, gee, this $11,000 would be good to fix my sidewalk or playground equipment, this is from the merchants. The tax surcharge the merchants pay, and it can only be used for these type of events. Item 9D. Authorize Mayor Reed to complete ballot in favor of League of California Cities proposed bylaws amendment to increase dues to implement League Grassroots Network. Cleve, you want to explain this, or?
I have the short version and the long version.
Short version.
I actually have the slides. I know Mayor Reed has seen those, Councilmember Applegate has seen those. I'm not sure if any of the rest of you have. There's about probably 30 slides that it goes through, and I can do it either way, or we can simply go through the staff report that I've prepared here. So
I'm familiar with this issue. I've gotten quite a bit of literature on it, so I'm gonna do the best on the city.
You'd like me to just go
Yeah,
through the
that's fine.
staff
That's
report
fine.
then? Is that?
Yeah, I
That's
think
fine. The key issue to this is that for the last 10 years that I've been here, I think that the League of California Cities has been talking about how to do something better to be able to promote or to put forth the issues of cities that are, when it comes to, they use the word lobbying before the state. As you know, if you look through this and read through some of the things that have happened over the last several years, you can see that revenues that previously were coming to cities are no longer coming to cities. And there's some real difficult things that have happened as a result of that. I believe I've got the number in here for the city of Newman. I know it's over $100,000 a year that we're losing if the ERAF shift had not taken place in back in 91, 92. If that action had not gone forward, our revenues for property tax alone would be over $100,000 higher than they are today per year. So that's just one example. There's other issues, as you know. There was talk, was it last year or the year before, with the vehicle license fees. That is a significant portion of our revenues, about $250,000 to $300,000, I believe, Margaret, is that correct? That we get each year. The proposal at that time took those, and the state said, well, we're going to eliminate them. As you know, some of you probably got a rebate on your vehicle license fees. And what the state did is they went and backfilled that using general fund money so that we didn't lose any money. They guaranteed us the money for that point. The problem is, up until today, I had heard that those vehicle license fees were still secure and there was no problem with them. Today I read about a bill that has been up at the state for quite some time. It's SB 910, which simply stated, originally the bill stated that if a city does not have a approved housing element that is approved by the state, that potential funds could be taken from the cities. Now originally there were fines that were very significant, these fines that were proposed that could be taken from the cities. As I recall, it was something like $1,000 per day that housing element was not officially approved. Well, today in the bill, SB 910 was changed, I believe it was in committee, to read that vehicle license fees that are currently that general fund backfill that goes out can be withheld by the state if that housing element is not in compliance. I can tell you that currently our housing element is in compliance, so that is not a particular issue. But the problem is the authority to say that your housing element is not in compliance could lie with one person up at the state, an analyst or whatever the position may be up at HCD, that says, no, you've got a problem with your housing element. I disagree with that you're meeting this one area. And that one person could be responsible for us losing a significant amount of money. That's the type of thing, the type of issues that are being presented up to the state, where the cities do not have a significant lobbying effort to go before them and argue for this control and for us to have that money. There are a number of issues that I believe are spelled out in this report. If you're to go through that, you can see that actually the cost that is being proposed for this grassroots coordinator network is very minimal compared to what's at stake and what we could lose. My feeling is I've been involved with the league a little bit as far as staying up on what they do and et cetera ever since I've been here for the last 10 years. And my biggest thing is, somebody said to me, one of the other city managers, when I was talking to them about this, is we can't continue to do things the way we are. We're fighting an uphill battle and we're losing. We're losing every day. And each year, as you know, last year the state talked about, I believe it was anywhere, estimates from 12 to $15 billion surpluses. Cities got very, very little of that. We did get some one-time money that was given to us as a result of that, but we got no continued revenues that were given to us as a result of those excess funds. And that's what has created the problem. They give us one-time monies. That's great for maybe a capital improvement project to look at or something like that. But what do you do the next year when you still have to maintain that project you've done? It's similar to what they've done with the COPS money. They've guaranteed it for 4 years. We're getting ready to start the second year of that, and they're encouraging us to hire new police officers. Well, what happens at the end of that 4 years? We have no guarantee that that money is going to continue, and I will tell you right now, we have chosen not to use that money for hiring new police officers. We put it to other uses, as you've seen in the budget, and it's for that reason. I'm not saying that hiring police officers is not a good thing, but if that money is not guaranteed, it's a real crapshoot to go out and say, yeah, we're going to hire these new police officers, and hopefully the money will be here in 4 years. So those are examples of things that have been done. Is this a guarantee that that'll change? No, I don't believe it is. But I think it's a change for the better, and if this program works the way it has been spelled out and designed, I think that we will begin to see some changes that cities will have an impact up at the state and be able to hopefully turn some of this around to where we are, getting some of those revenues back so that we can do some of the things that we would like to. This report, when they started putting it together and throughout time, they ask us about various things where cities have cut back because of the revenues that they were lost. And I haven't really provided anything real specific, but I think you could go out and look at things like the maintenance of our parks, I think is a big thing. I want to compliment our Public Works Director, Ernie, because they do an excellent job with the funding that we give them to do that. But it's a far cry from what the maintenance could be on those parks if we had the money to do it. And it's not for lack of them wanting to do it. They have a strong desire to improve the level of maintenance on those parks, but the money is just not there. And when it comes down to it, unfortunately, that's one of the areas that gets hit the hardest, and that's where we cut back first. It seems like it's in Parks and Recreation when the funds are not there, and so that's where that's at. So, based on this, I can answer any questions about this and go over some of the other things in there in this report. But it's my recommendation that the city go forward with this and approve the proposal to change the bylaws and add the additional cost for this program with the league.
The cost is only $1,197 for the year, and all of this will be reviewed after 5 years of operation to see if it's really working. And it also gives us a what do they call the people are going to put in different offices in different divisions?
They're called legislative coordinators.
Yeah, there'll be one in each of the 16 divisions in the state, where before there was one in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento, I think. So there will be one probably in our division, will probably be in Modesto, I would guess, which is a lot closer than Sacramento anyway.
Be either Modesto or Stockton, I would guess.
Yeah,
the largest
one of the
largest
two, yeah.
cities. But,
Well, yeah, I would say they'd center it somewhere in the division, whatever.
yeah, Modesto is more central.
Any other questions for Cleve?
No, I agree. Something has to be done, and I think this is, after watching it up in Sacramento with the League of Cities up there at dinner that night, I think this is a vehicle that will probably help us out a lot, and I agree.
I just wanted to comment in terms of what I've been reading and a lot of the literature I've been getting, and also the 6-month experience I've had on the local level. Something that I think that everyone as constituents and taxpayers don't understand fully. Revenue and tax dollars, particularly those that are property taxes and the fees that we pay, like on our vehicle license, all that money goes to the state. Then the state tells us how much money we're going to get back and how much will be funded to us as cities. And so we don't have the direct control over those funds, and we're losing it even more. That's basically what this report is stating and what the city manager and staff has just alluded to. And without these grassroots efforts, without this networking amongst the cities together in the state of California, well, certainly we as a standalone city don't have we have more juice when we group ourselves together to say, you know, we need these funds in order to facilitate the things in the cities that we govern. And I just thought I would allude to that just because I know that isn't always the understanding. My colleague here has alluded to it before, where we have people that come before us and they say, well, we're paying our tax dollars. Yes, you are. We all are paying our tax dollars. But those dollars don't come directly to us. In many issues, in many instances, the money is given back to us and delegated to how we're going to spend it through the state. And so to grasp a greater hold, I concur with this wholeheartedly. And just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. Please, is this you have this priority focus?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I got
Yeah.
this information on SB
Could we get
910.
copies of this made for each council member?
Sure.
I thought everyone got it. but I guess
They don't all get that? You
No.
don't all get that?
The priority focus comes
No, I don't
from-
get it.
Just
Okay.
Mayor. Okay.
I'll make sure that you all get that. That's just kind of an update
Yeah,
on
this
league activities.
particular one, it comes every week, but this particular one has a lot of good stuff in it. Okay, let's see.
You can also access that on the league website if you'd rather get it that way for anybody,
Yeah.
let me know,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah,
it is accessible that way. But I will make copies unless somebody tells me not to, so.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's www.calcities.org. Okay, do we have a?
Well, I move that we authorize Mayor Reed to complete ballot in favor of League of California Cities proposed bylaws amendment to increase dues to implement League grassroots network.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 9E, adopt resolution number 2001, next number, approving application for grant funds for Newman Teen Center. Please read this.
Hopefully this is a simple item. As you recall, we were awarded these funds in last year's budget. This is kind of a formality. We have to complete this application and send it up to the state. They then send us an agreement which we sign, and then we can move forward with the project. So anyway, that's the purpose of this. We're going through and getting the application completed now. Has to be turned in by the end of the month, so we're trying to get things finished up on it. So.
Any questions? Can we have a motion to adopt resolution number 2001, next number, approving the application for grant fund for Newman Teen Center?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 9G, adopt resolution number 2001, a resolution adopting the preliminary budget for the City of Newman fiscal year 2001-2002. Margaret, you have a comment for us.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council.
Good evening.
It was brought to my attention today that this is a spiel that you have heard 8 times before, but it wasn't mentioning you heard it 7 more times when we talked about the final budget, and 7 more times on top of that when we talked about the mid-year budget. So I'm just going to capitalize the important points that you need to remember when you're approving the budget. In order to have a prudent budget and keep the city in sound financial shape, you need to estimate your revenue projections low. You need to estimate your expenses high. Thou shall never exceed your current year's expenditures over your expected revenue. And most of all, you should remember that you have very little to say in the overall whole picture because the state and other elements have already directed you on how you're going to spend this money.
I think I just said
Exactly what you just said. It was a very good prologue to the budget. You have before you the estimated revenues and the estimated expenses. You have it placed in the income statement form, so you have an idea what the projected balance will be as of June 30th, 2002. Behind that, you have summaries of the fund balances over the years from 1992 forward for revenue funds, expenditure funds, departments, and behind that is an actual listing of all the line items, the requests by the departments, and the grand total of projected expenses and revenues for the upcoming 2001-2002 year. Tonight you're asked to adopt a preliminary budget. It's required by law, and it allows the city to continue to operate into July until the final budget is adopted. It's basically the mechanism just to keep the city operating for a couple of months until final figures are available, particularly from the state, because they have yet to adopt their budget, and we still aren't 100% sure in terms of the motor vehicle fees and other sources of what may happen to our main general fund discretionary revenue. Staff has prepared the summary, so we'll entertain any questions in general or specific items.
Could I just make a couple of comments, Margaret? And they're probably in your report, I'm sure they are. But a couple of things to mention that are not in here yet. First of all, we are very close, and hopefully by your next meeting we'll be coming back to you with a conclusion to our contract negotiations with our employee unions. We think we have, we're close, and we think we have some good settlements there. Those, any cost increases that might be as a result of those negotiations are not yet included in this budget. Okay, so that is not in here. The other item that I wanted to bring to your attention is there is an cost in here to do a water rate study this coming year. If you are to look at the comparison of expenditures and revenues for our water operating fund, you can see that we need to do some work there, and I want to say this to get it out on the board that we're going to have to look at that this coming year, and so there is some money in there to fund that study. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to bring up and to, I guess, prepare the city council for those. And there are others in there, but those are the two items that I think are of importance that the council needs to realize and be ready for as we go into this next year. And on the contract negotiations, that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So.
And we're not looking at dipping into our reserve fund then, right?
No.
Not currently.
Okay.
Under this proposal, if you were to look at on the preliminary budget, the very first page, when you say dip into reserves, I would refer to our general fund. That's
Right,
the
general
main place.
fund reserves, yeah.
If you look on that first page, general fund is the top one, number 10, and it shows that the variance between revenues and expenditures are very close, but there's about a $45,000 positive balance there.
And that figure is the limit that is used during salary negotiations. The tentative, where we're going, we will not allow it to exceed the 45,000.
I saw that.
John, do you have any questions for Margaret?
No, not at this time.
Bob?
Nope, nothing.
Tom?
Nothing.
Tim?
No, I'll reserve any questions. This is just a
Okay.
budget. Just that, a budget.
Can we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I move a resolution adopting the preliminary budget for the city of Newman fiscal year 2001-2002.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, we're going to adjourn to meet as Newman Redevelopment Agency. Roll call, please.
Present.
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 Present. Item 10B is adopt resolution number 2001, a resolution adopting preliminary budget for the Newman Redevelopment Agency fiscal year 2001-2002. So we'll do the same thing over again as we did before. So we have a motion.
I move a resolution adopting the preliminary budget for the Newman Redevelopment Agency fiscal year 2001-2002.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 10C. Adopt resolution number 2001, next number, authorizing executive director to execute agreement between the agency and Doug Stevens / Dave Tatro for purchase of property at 1632 N Street. Please.
This is a project we've been working on for several weeks now. The purpose of this is to purchase the property and then sell it back to Bigelow Chevrolet to expand his business. The agreement is here before you. The proposed cost to purchase this property that was approved by the council in a closed session is $200,000. You have the agreement here, and there are a couple of issues that was brought up, but it's my understanding that from the sellers that those are okay and that this agreement can be adopted by the city council. The one thing that is not in the agreement that the council approved is that it will be contingent on the agreement with Bigelow Chevrolet to actually purchase the property back and develop it. So that is the only outstanding issue which will be added to the agreement by our redevelopment attorney.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 2001, next to number, authorizing the executive director to execute an agreement between the agency and Doug Stevens, David Tatro, for the purchase of property at 1632 N Street.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
I just want to say one thing, though. I should have said it before, but as far as the public is concerned, this is a great vehicle for the city of Newman, for Bigelow Chevrolet to expand and bring in more tax revenue dollars into our city, which will help us to maybe someday have better parts.
Thank you, Tom. We reconvened a regular session, and item number 12 is items from the city manager, please.
Just a couple items I want to discuss briefly. One is, it was brought up earlier, the skateboard park, and I don't know if you have any other questions on that, but I mentioned that we've been doing some preliminary work getting that ready. I'm still waiting for one more proposal on the actual skate park structures. They're saying from time of order, 30 to 45 days. I hope at our next council meeting, I should have a recommendation for both the structures and award of the bid for the concrete, so that between 30 to 45 days after your next meeting, we should be close to having the skateboard park up and running. As I mentioned, we do have the bids out currently for the concrete, and those will be awarded at your next meeting. Any questions about that?
No, let's just get it going.
Okay. Okay.
I'll pose a question, and I'll do this because I'm gonna do it for clarification of the time that the whole process of this skateboard park initially was the allocation of funds. We allocated, when I first came to this council, got sworn in December 19th, we doubled the amount, which was 6 months ago. So this 30 to 45 days of the purchase order is when we'll finally have it etched in stone where the kids can go out to the skateboard park and it'll be complete.
Correct.
And the only reason for this delay and it taking me this time is what?
The main delay was that we were working on with a couple of builders to try to get donations for the concrete so that we could, and I know we had the money, but if we would have got the donations, that would have been more we could have put towards the structures that we were actually putting out there.
And so in other words,
this will limit us somewhat in what we can do, but we'll have a start.
And I just wanted to allude to that with staff giving that answer, because the public has been inquiring and inquiring minds want to know. And so that is the reasoning why. And so it'll be complete mid-July, end of July.
End of July, probably, yeah.
Meanwhile, while we're waiting for the bids to come in on the structure. Do we have bids going out for the concrete?
Those are out right now.
Okay,
And
they will be due when?
they're due on the 22nd and will be awarded at your meeting on the 26th.
Okay, so the concrete should be in before the...
Right,
Structures
that
are
way
there,
the
okay.
concrete will move immediately with that, and that'll be a quick project, so they'll be ready to go as soon as the structures are ready to come in.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just quickly, if there were any questions, we put on your, before you tonight, the map that we made up showing the phasing for the downtown streetscape. If there's any questions about that, as I mentioned earlier, they will be starting next Monday. So that is the beginning of when you will start to see roads, streets closed down at that time. And we are working, putting together plans as far as, signs up for detours and maps and et cetera, to give people location to get to different stores and how that will work. So that's in process.
Levi, I had a question approached by some of the citizens, and they'd like to see something on the paper as far as actual showing the construction plan. And
The actual
showing
construction plan?
Different phases and the timing of what they can anticipate what's going on now.
There is
Similar
a copy,
to this map?
There is a copy of this at the City Hall.
No, I'm saying something in the newspaper.
It's... do they have color available? Yeah, I guess they do.
Well, it doesn't have to be color, I mean.
Well, when you see the map, it's easy to look at and say, okay, this is going to be done at this time because it's a certain color.
this going to be in there?
Yeah,
One
this
time?
this
Yeah,
map
this
is
map
going
will
to
be
go
in
in the
there one
newspaper,
time.
which will show the construction
Well,
phase.
that's what I
That was,
thought.
yeah, that
Is
was...
that what you were talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
Our
that's-
plan is to get that in the newspaper.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
okay. I thought you were referring to exactly what we were going to be doing as far as what type of thing. That went out to them actually in a newsletter, last year, I believe. We sent a newsletter out that we had the list of what we were going to be doing and focus on that, so. Yes, that will be, this map that I showed you will be in the
Now,
newsletter.
this map is pretty accurate as far as what's going to actually take place.
Yes.
I think that's what most people are interested to know exactly what's going to take place in our town. And we've seen some artist renditions and stuff like that, but this actually shows where the construction sites were.
And foot traffic to all the businesses will be available every day but one or two for the whole process.
Cleve, update on Inyo?
Yeah, that was the last thing I was gonna cover. Inyo Avenue, contractors will be back in there next week, right, Ernie? There was a little mix-up there in that the contractor authorized his grinding subcontractor to come in and do the grinding, and we weren't ready for that. Problem was his subcontractor was telling him, if I don't get in there, I'm 2 months away from getting back, and so he went in. But they will be back in there next week, and that project will move quickly from there.
Anything else?
I think that's all I have. If there's other questions about other projects.
Yeah, just one question. We had a cleanup of the area by Nob Hill.
Yes.
Is that going to be ongoing, or is it just something that...
It's my understanding that that is going to be ongoing. I talked to the manager at Nob Hill the other day, and he told me that there's a few more details that they need to be worked out, but it's his intent to make sure that it does continue. And he's actually been very good. He's just been kind of got caught up a little bit in the red tape of their headquarters and being able to do what he needed to do. And so, but I think he's got it where he needs to now, and I think that will continue. I think they've done a good job getting it cleaned up out there.
It looks great.
Yeah, we offered a proposal to Mike Menzies, the manager at Nob Hill. There's only one water meter. And in order to take care of it, we proposed that Nob Hill divide it up by percentage. They take the bill and then bill Rite Aid and Burger King. So, and he said he's going to go to his management with that.
Well, it makes a big difference to see it cleaned up out there. Thanks, Glenn.
Item number 13, items from city council members. Tim?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. The only comment I have is in regards to the streetscape project starting on the way on Monday, and it's what I alluded to in our previous meeting about a groundbreaking ceremony or presentation. At the time, after the parade, because I understand the kids are going to have the parade, they're going to be setting up. I think it's only appropriate if we do some type of groundbreaking ceremony where the mayor is there, if he's just holding a shovel in the ground to begin this project. I mean,
As long as I don't have to dig, that's fine.
We've looked at a couple of things, and that'll basically be all it'll be. We're looking at possibly, I talked to Doug Matosa today, and he volunteered that perhaps the Public Works crew could supply a couple of jackhammers that you could stand next to and hold up. We won't ask you make you use them, but you can hold them and stand
power to them.
But, and then possibly, shovels and stuff and to start the project.
Yeah, I think
we-
that would be appropriate. You could just give us a time.
I was actually looking at trying to do that though prior to the parade on Monday,
Okay.
which would probably be around 8:30 on Monday. That's a little 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, so is that,
I have a
No.
doctor's appointment at
okay.
9 o'clock that I don't think I can get out of.
7. What time? I don't know. We're trying to fit it in with Dave's
Nine-
schedule.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
In Turlock.
No, I meant what time we're...
Oh, what time is this thing? Oh, okay.
I was looking at around 8:30.
Can we make
Or
it
we
make
can do
it
it 8
earlier?
o'clock,
8 o'clock will work for you, Dave?
because it's only gonna be,
You can make it
I'm
work.
assuming,
That'll be
10,
great
15
shape,
minutes,
Dr.
so.
Renee, yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
All right.
No, I like the jocularity by our city manager. And then his jackhammers.
Well, if you'd like to, we can hook up the power to them too, so. I'm sure they would appreciate some assistance.
But no, I have nothing.
John?
The only thing I had a question was in you, but my question was answered. Just had a lot of questions of business people that way wanting to know why things were on hold, but hopefully their questions were answered.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Bob, I know you have something, so that's why I saved you the
I
last.
have nothing tonight.
You don't want to talk about last time?
Oh, that's right. We talked a little bit among ourselves. Last night we had the pleasure, the fire department put on an exercise in rescuing people after an accident, and the mayor and I participated, and it was quite exciting to see them perform their duties and to see how professional they are when they do their job. And it makes you proud when you know there's so many volunteers out there that give of their time to learn the ways that they have to handle accidents and handle people when they're involved in accidents. And it really was an eye-opener for me, and it was it's a great training. And of course they were able to use an older car that would not pass smog test, and they actually completely demolished it. They cut off the roof and everything else. And David and I were inside, not when they cut the roof off, but when they actually took the doors off. And it was very realistic. But we should all be very proud of our fire department and the EMTs and paramedics that are waiting out there to help us when the occasion should occur.
Yeah, we are truly blessed.
Anything else?
That's enough.
Okay, I'd just like to add to what Bob said about, we were the victims, and they tried different things. Let's see, Bob, you drove into the side of the building up here was one, and he rolled the car in another one, or something like that. But these guys really are great, and everybody should remember that in, was it October they come around for donations? When they come around, why, dig deep, because they're well worth it. Okay, anything else? Go ahead.
I move we adjourn.
Second.